Hello and welcome with another tournament recap. And today I'm here at the German Nationals 2024. I play this event with Tearlaments, my favorite deck, and I really want to bring Tearlaments to this event because I just enjoy the deck. And I think it might be a great counter pick against Tenpai if many people might be on Tenpai. Unfortunately, I played 0 Tenpai the entire event. Nevertheless, the deck performed extremely well. I went 114th, so I missed the 128 by just 12 spots in a tiebreaker. But I reached my first goal, which was performing better compared to last year. And maybe I can reach the top of 128 in the next year. And I think 140 is pretty decent with a deck that is not the most common meta deck such as Snaker.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Let's go to the deck, my friend. Show me the deck.
So here we have Sharon, the absolute MVP. Sharon is back. So then Havnes, Merly. Would like to play more of them, unfortunately all of them limited. Then triple Rhinoheart, I guess staple, because I want to enter Bahamut Toad. Also triple Tearcash staple. Very often you want to mill Rhinoheart, then use the Rhinoheart effect while you have only the Tearcash as a Tear card in the hand. Then chain the Tearcash, banish something else, and then you don't have to send for Rhinoheart. I made this basically every single match at least once. So yeah, you want to max out on these cards really hard. And then double Fenrir, a bit controversial because some people really like Fenrir, other people cut the Fenrir completely from their decks. But I think Fenrir was decent, baited out a couple interruptions, and it was also really nice in simplified game stats. So I had a game where my opponent veilered me on the Fenrir in my turn, and then I passed on a pretty weak board, and then my opponent had to drop another Imperm on the same Fenrir because Fenrir was just such a huge threat. So overall, I think I would keep the Fenrir in the future. Then the two Shufflers, yeah, amazing cards, especially in a deck that mills the entire deck. These are so well inserted matchups such as Branded and Tenpai. And you kinda wanna have access to them as often as possible. They might brick sometimes, but I think playing those is completely worth even if they could brick sometimes. But you have a couple options to discard bricks in this deck.
Good against Stan too.
Yeah, it's also great against Runic and might be one of the reasons why this deck could be slightly favored against Runic stun. So you can just shuffle every of their Runic spells back and then they don't get to draw and then you might outgrind them. And then some other cards that are bricks when you draw them, but insane when you mill them, Shadows. And you can also discard them with Sharon. So if Sharon discarding a Shadow resolves, you are in such a great position because then you get so much card advantage from those cards. Also, this going second is very close to an Ishizu Miller. Very often I milled like 3, 4, 5 cards with this one into boards. And it gave me the necessary advantage to break the boards of Snake Eye and overcome my opponent in terms of card advantage. And the main goal of the deck is making Winder, and I want to play 3 Shadows so that I can make Winder as often as possible and as consistent as possible. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with playing the Shadow version of the deck over Destiny Heroes and would play it probably like a Shadow until Fiendsmith stuff comes out. And then the money cards of this deck, the Horus engine. I bought this very recently and I'm glad that I bought the free M-City and the Sark because this was such a great card the entire day. So every time the M-City resolved, I was almost winning the match because this set up my plays so well. I just got rid of my worst card in the hand, which could be one of those bricks like the Shufflers or Hollow Shadow, and then draw any new card, which could be a Perler Rhino. And also I have the Sark. So yeah, it not only sets up Zombie Vampire, it also fixes bad hands sometimes. And also, this allows you to play under Abyss Dweller. And this is extremely good into certain boards, like for example the Melodius board with Sark. You can out the battle protection lock. Also, I won in the 11th round against Kash because I opened Sark and Harpy and then the Horus completely destroyed my opponent. Yeah. So, I think Horus is definitely the best version of this deck, and if you have the money to play the free M-City, play it. Then for the tier spells and traps, free Perler Rhino, free Scream, double Grief, and triple Solic. Unfortunately, my quarter century Pearl Rhino didn't arrive in time, even though I ordered some of them. Maybe I have to place it complete in the next tournament. Yeah. Overall, I think 3 of them is kind of needed because this is your best mill after the Ishizo Millers got banned, and it's not a completely dead draw because you could mill Rhino, and then milling Rhino makes this card a perfectly solid draw because you can discard it, and then it searches a tier cache, then it can extend your own plays. Also, Grief was pretty decent because it allowed me to extend at certain points where I had no other good extenders, and it can allow you to end on the double trap setup post side, and I ended on the double trap setup a couple of times post side. Then for the non-engine, only 1 talent. I was playing 2 Foolish Buried Goods and double talents in the past, so this was a second talent, but then I didn't like talents in the testing at all. But this card was absolutely amazing because I played this in combination with the Blackout Glass and the Trivi Karma. So the theory behind this is this card could be either an engine card if we send a Trivi Karma, and then it allows you to play around draw, because you can just make a Pearl Rhino, and then if the opponent rolls you on the Pearl Rhino, you can just chain Trivi Karma, search either the Grief or the Scream, and then you go to 1 search through roll. Unfortunately, I went for the setup, and then when Trivi Karma into Pearl Rhino against a Kashira player, and then he rolled me on the Pearl Rhino, but I still won this match, so it didn't really matter. Yeah, the theory behind this is I can either dig for engine, or I can send it as a non-engine. And this card breaks the entire board of Purely, because what is the deck going to do if we prevent the Noir from activating their effects? Also pretty decent against the Melodius. Depending on the hand, we can either prevent the Etoile or the Schuberta, so no banishes or bounces, and then we can crack the board apart. Unfortunately, I played against 0 Purely and only 1 Melodius Camera, so no pure Melodius, so I couldn't really test the theory in practice. And against Snake Eye, this one can at least deal with the Appaloosa, which is probably the biggest threat if you don't have the Scream to debuff the Appaloosa. Unfortunately, when I played against Snake Eye, I drew this 0 times, and I lost 1 game where I had a potential win if I just had 1 card to deal with the Appaloosa.
Nice.
So yeah, I would probably keep this at 3 because this is such an amazing card for this deck. And I never draw it twice, but this could happen. And even if you draw it twice, you can still discard it for the Imcity or whatever. So, amazing card. So that was the main deck, clean 40 card. I think you want to play 40 because your mills need to be as consistent as possible. And if you go that much above 40, then the mills become inconsistent. I was also considering Meta Noise, but then I thought Meta Noise might be not needed because the deck is already so consistent, and setting up Winder. So Meta Noise not needed. I also don't think there's any other card you need to add in the main deck as a 41st card, for at least right now. Now let's go to the extra deck. Here we have the boss monster Kaleidoheart. The major problem with this version of the deck is that I didn't play that many Aqua monsters to make the Kaleidoheart. So it didn't came up that often, but I still made Kaleido a decent amount of times, especially when you mill your entire deck. You mill a second tier name that you already used, and then you can just make it with only using your tier goods. Sometimes you have also setups where you send the Salic for the Rhinoheart, and then you have the Salic to search anything that you can use as fusion material from the hand, and then Rhinoheart to send anything from the deck that we use as a fusion material from the graveyard. And this is how we get to Kaleidoheart, even with only the tier monsters as Aqua monsters. But going first, this is much less of a problem because we have the Toad, and then we can shuffle back the Toad in the turn of the opponent. Then one beautiful American quarter-century Dragostapelia, Garura, and another super beautiful quarter-century Mud Dragon. Yeah, basically this came up the most of times because I went into this every single turn 1 combo and then make Bahamut Toad, and then in either my own turn or in the opponent's turn I made Winder, and Winder could theoretically steal so many games, but for some reason many people played a huge amount of board breakers today, including the Snake and Fire King players. So Winda didn't perform that amazing as I expected her to perform, but still good enough to justify playing the Shadow version of the deck. Then one Typhoon, I just bought this recently and this came up a couple of times, so we'll probably keep it. Also, there was one game against Marincess where I had Sharon, Havness, Grief, Solic in my hand, and then I scooped, and then while siding I thought, oh fuck, I'm such a bozo, such a trash, can do a list, because I scooped when the game wasn't over yet. So I could just normal summon Sharon, make Typhoon, out the entire board of Dweller, Silentus, and then use the Havness in the turn of my opponent, and play with Havness Solic and outright the Marincess player. So yeah, this got pretty decent, especially against Brandon. Again, one Semi Vampire because I played Horus, and then one Redoer. Made this a couple of times, and this is really dirty, especially against Labyrinth, because you can steal their trap cards and then put the Labyrinth player back in time, because we let them top deck their own monsters that we put back to the top of the deck by using the Redo effect when you detach a trap for the effect. Yeah. And then Bahamut Toad. Yeah, basically your endboard piece you always go for. And you kinda have to go for this because this is probably the strongest and most consistent endboard the tier could achieve with limited amount of mills. And then I played a decent link package with one Underworld Goddess, one IP, SP, Dark, and Sprint. Yeah, I think those are basically mandatory. Every tier deck is playing those three. IP is a card that you can play because you have the space in the Shadow version of the deck, but the Destiny Hero version might not have sufficient extra deck space to play the IP. And same with Underworld Goddess. If you have 4 bodies on the field, you want to have at least something that can use your 4 random bodies for advantage, and this is probably the best card that can convert some random bodies into advantage and also break entire purely boards, break Melodius board. And this actually performs pretty well in combination with IP Masquerina, because I can link one monster of my opponent away in their own turn to make the Underworld Goddess. So funny enough, the cards that came up the least amount of times were probably the Dark and the Redoer, but I would keep all of them, so every single card in the extra deck came up at least once in this entire tournament. Then for the side deck, I was afraid of Branded, so I played 3 Bystials to avoid Puppet Lock, and I think playing the Bystials was correct because I played 2 Branded and some other matchups where Bystials helped me to win. So there was one Snake Eye player who scooped without revealing their deck, and then I thought it might be Voiceless voice how they played it out, and then I just saw one Druid's Worm, and the one Druid's Worm in combination with a mediocre tier hand somehow was able to break the board. So Druid's Worm plus mid-tier hand broke the board of Appaloosa, Titanic Galaxy, and Princess in the Grave. And Scattershot came up 2 times. Then Dark Ruler. The main purpose of this card is to beat the Snake Eye board, and it was so unfortunate that I didn't see this card against the Snake Eye player when I needed it. Also, another 3 cards against the Snake Eye, the Steel Spells, because they go for Appaloosa every single time, and then we just take the Appaloosa and use the Appaloosa against the own cards. Also, this card was extremely good against Kashtira, and I stole the Fenrir and won from that. Then if, in case we play against Runic Stun, 1 Tearlaments Heartbeat, you have to play at least 1 spell trap removal because you play the 3 Karma, so you can access your spell trap removal with Foolish Burial Goods or with just random mills, and you don't want to lose against random floodgate bullshit like Revolver, Skill Drain, Dimensional Fissure, yeah, kinda need it. And then if I go first, I have my own floodgates, triple Skill Drain. I never drew this card when I was going first, except for the last round when I played against Chimera. Instead, most of the times I went for the double trap setup with the Crime. And in theory, this in combination with Winda or with Skill Drain should secure the win. Some people might say it's win more, but it came up a decent amount of times and I would probably still keep it. So we had to leave the table because of a side event, but I still want to talk about our matchups. In total, I played against 3 Snake Eye, including 1 Fire King Snake Eye, 1 Kashira Snake Eye, and 1 Pure Snake Eye. I lost against the Fire King Snake Eye and the Kashira Snake Eye, but I won against the Pure Snake Eye 2-0. And then I played against 2 Branded. I had a draw against the first Branded, and I lost against the second Branded. Then I played against Dark World, and I won 2-0. I won 2-0 against Labyrinth. I won 2-1 against Marincess. I won 2-1 against Voiceless Boys. I played against Invoke Dogmatica Shadol and I won 2-0. And then at day 2 I played against Pure Kashira and I won 2-1 even though he shifted me in the first game. And I played against Melodius Camera and I won 2-1. So in total I had 8 wins, 3 losses and 1 draw. I think a score of 10-2 was possible, but I misplayed. And if I just avoided either the draw or the third loss, I should have 9 wins, which puts me in a position where I could make top 64 and advance to the top cut, or at least top 128, where I received my second invite for the European Championship, and then 1 really nice Minerva mat and also the sleeves. But I misplayed, and I should avoid the misplays that I made in the next year. Especially my match against Fire King Snake was really tragic, because I had a line that would allow me to keep the winner on the board against Book of Eclipse and Talents, but I just failed to find a line during my game. And the draw against Branded was also avoidable because my opponent was not that good. He had the cards to Gimmick Puppet lock me but didn't find the line to Gimmick Puppet lock me. So I was in a game that I was not supposed to play, but my opening hand was pretty weak and my mills were absolutely garbage. So it was just enough to stay in the game but not good enough to actually win this game. And I lost after a 38-minute game 1, should have scooped much earlier and tried to win the game 2 and 3 as fast as possible. In my match against Kashira Snake Eye, I lost the third game because I didn't see any of my Dark World no more, any of my Steel spells, or any of my Foolish Burial Goods that could dump the Black Gold Gloves. And the same happened against the second Branded player who actually knew how to play the deck correctly. And I drew 0 Byseals in the third game, so I lost this match. But that's Yu-Gi-Oh! And sometimes you lose because you draw really bad. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my deck profile and can take inspiration from it. See you in the next video or at the European Championship. Have a nice day. Bye!